I can already feel some of you typing. She's anti-feminist. She's a tradwife. She wants women to go back. I'm not, and I don't. Let me be very clear about this for a second before we continue. The women in the 1900s who fought so we could have the right to vote, so we could have the right to have an education, so we could have the right to have autonomy over our bodies, so we could have a voice. Those women were doing holy work. I wouldn't have the life that I have now without them, and you wouldn't have the life that you have now without them. Nothing that I'm about to say is a critic of what they did. They were right. They were so right. But the problem is, we didn't know when to stop. We kept pushing. We kept progressing. We kept expanding. And somewhere along the way, the movement that started as women deserve basic dignity, it somehow became a permission slip for literally everything. Women fought for autonomy, and then somewhere along the way, we decided that autonomy means that women can sleep with as many men as she wants. We decided that women should just sell access to herself online. Basically, do whatever she wants with no thought if it's actually serving her. And we called all of that progress. We called all of that liberation. But it wasn't liberation. It was overshoot. We got so busy fighting for the right to do literally everything that we stopped asking if that everything is actually serving us, if that everything is actually good for us. And we expanded past trying to think that the original women, the women before us, were actually trying to protect, that the feminine is sacred. That's what they were defending. Not the right to be casual, not the right to be available, not the right to be easily accessible, but the right to be honored. And we forgot that. We have lost the plot. And this is bigger than feminism, by the way. We do this with everything. We, as humans, we've been doing this for as long as I can remember. We think that because we have new technology, that we also need new truths, new set of beliefs, new systems to live by. We think that just because something is old, it must be obsolete. But human nature did not change. The soul did not change. What it takes to live a good life did not change. There are things that people understood thousands of years ago that are still true today. And the reason they're still true is because they were always true. We didn't surpass the ancients on the question of the soul. We just somehow convinced ourselves that we did. So when I say what I'm about to say, I am not in any way telling you to go back to the 1950s. I don't want that, and I'm sure you don't want that. What I'm saying is that we have to learn how to hold both, to keep the freedom, keep the autonomy, keep the voice, keep everything that all those women want for us. And at the same time, we cover the sacredness of the feminine, the standards, the self-respect, and the protection of the feminine that the overshoot stripped away. Having both, not choosing between one or the other, but actually having both. Let me explain further. I'm pointing specifically at something that every generation of women before us understood, but this generation of women has forgotten that intimacy is not a casual thing. That giving yourself away, your time, your body, your energy, your attention, or your inner life, it's not the same as spending money or buying, say, a cup of coffee. These things always leave a mark because they have to. That's just how the way it works. Because you are not a transactional being. You are a woman. You have a soul inside your body. And what you give of yourself, what you actually give, it doesn't go back. And all the women that I watch around me, women that I personally know, women that I see online every day, they are paying for not knowing this, or for knowing this but pretending somehow that they don't. They're paying with their nervous systems, with their self-image. They're paying with the years that they're spending on men who are never going to choose them. They're paying with a kind of exhaustion that you can somehow see in their eyes. but you can't name. And the reason that they're tired is because the cost of giving yourself away to people who don't deserve it, who have not earned it, that cost is real. It's not in your head, and it is not internalized patriarchy. Because your body is not a casual thing. Your time is not a casual thing. Your energy is not a casual thing. You're not like some commodity in the market. You are a soul incarnated in that body. And what you do with it actually matters because you only get this life once. And do you know what's the most rigid part of all of this? Men know this. They know exactly what's going on. And they have always known because men have not changed. Men in the 1950s, they wanted the same things that men in 2026 want right now. The only difference is that the previous generation of women made those men work for the things that they wanted. And the current generation of women, we are just handing it over and then hoping that maybe he will like us enough to stay, to commit. And he doesn't stay. That's the part that I want you to really hear. He doesn't stay, not because you weren't beautiful enough, or sexy enough, or talented enough, not because you weren't enough. He doesn't stay because the entire structure of modern dating has been designed so that he doesn't have to stay, so that he doesn't have to commit. Because why would he choose? Why would he commit? Why would he change his entire life to build with one woman when he can have 10 women in rotation who are all going to be available next weekend too, same as you? We have unconsciously created a market in which I'm talking about us women, are the most abundant product. And then somehow we're shocked when men act like the product is so abundant. And listen, this is not me letting men off the hook either. I need to say that. Because the same system that taught women to just give themselves away, that's the same exact system that taught men to just take and take and take whatever's there without ever becoming worthy of it. Look at men now. Men are coasting. They're passive. They're not masculine anymore. They're unwilling to lead, unwilling to provide, unwilling to commit, unwilling to grow into anything. Because the system has made it so that they don't have to. And they have taken the deal. And actually, I want to call something out here. Because I know a lot of men who complain about this, who go online and say things like, why are all women in this generation hookers? Why is every girl I meet having an OnlyFans? Why do they all just want money? Why are they all sleeping around? And I want to say to those men, be honest with yourself. Because the women that you meet, they're just your mirrors. You meet this kind of women because you are operating at the same level. Men who are sleeping around, men who have a high body count, men who don't do the work, men who don't treat themselves as if they're sacred too, men who are not loyal. Those men attract the same women that they're complaining about. You cannot outresent the law that you meet what you are. If those are the kind of women available to you, then look at yourself. That's the dating pool that you've earned. So to the men watching this, be in your masculinity. Stop being passive. Become worthy of what you say you want. Become the kind of man that a woman with self-respect chooses. Because if you want a sovereign, sacred, and devoted woman, then you have to be a sovereign, sacred, and devoted man yourself. And that woman exists, by the way. And she would choose you, but only if you do the work yourself. So what I'm getting at is to have self-respect on both sides, on the men's side and on the women's side. That is the floor. That should be the standard. And do you know the part that really breaks my heart? It's knowing that women are smart and innately, deep inside, we know this. Every woman who has been through this, and I'm sure that's most of you, you've had that one moment. The moment at 3 a.m. when you're lying on your bed, waiting for his texts, sending him a couple of text messages, and then finally, it clicks. You realize that you wasted 2 years of your life on a man who made it clear from day one that he was never going to respect you and to love you the way that you deserve. We know it, but somehow we keep doing it anyways because we are addicted to the hope. We're addicted to the chemistry. And we don't have that self-love deep inside us to know when it's time to walk away, to know that you deserve better. And so you just keep giving and giving and giving until finally you feel drained, like there's nothing left to give. Because you have spent most of your vital decade chasing after men who would not have lifted one finger if you fell. You feel empty because the whole modern dating economy has trained you to believe that giving more, becoming more available, becoming less attached, becoming more chill, having no expectations is the only way to win. But it's not the way to win. That's the way that you lose yourself. So I actually want to leave you with a question. What would your life look like if you treated yourself as if you were sacred? And I'm not talking in a religious way. I'm talking in a body, time, and energy kind of way. What would you say no to? Who would you stop replying to? What dates would you not go on? What nights would you not have anymore? What relationships would never have happened? Who would you have had to disappoint? And on the other side of all those refusals, who would you actually become? I think that you would be a woman who isn't tired anymore, who's not always checking her phone, who's not crying at 3 a.m. over some kind of lousy situationship. I think that for the first time in your life, you would actually honor yourself. I actually think that you'd be free for the first time in your adult life. And that is the exact kind of freedom that we were sold, but we never got. Because the freedom we were sold was the freedom to be available. And that's not freedom. That is the most efficient cage that they built for us. And we walked right into it. And we locked the door from the inside. And then we threw away the key. And then we called it progress. And I want to tell you why I'm actually making this video. Because I could have stayed quiet. It would have been easier. I'm already in a relationship that works. And technically, this is not my problem to solve. So why am I even talking about this? I am talking about this because the collective changes only if one of us starts to change. That's it. That's the whole reason. Somebody has to start saying it. Somebody has to say it out loud. And some women need to hear it and realize it and wake up. Because I don't want to keep living in a world where this is normal. I don't want this to be the dating reality that my future daughters will see or will inherit. I don't want them growing up in a culture that tells them that their body is casual, that their soul is a brand, and that their job is to be available. I want them to walk into a world who already remembered what we forgot. So this is me starting it and this is me saying it. If it lands with even just one of you, if it makes one woman pause before she gives herself away to a man who has not earned her, or if it makes one man pause before he takes what he hasn't earned, that's enough for me, because that's how it starts. And just to clarify, I'm not telling any one of you here to be celibate, to wait for marriage. I am not telling anyone what to do with their bodies. That is full well within your rights. That is not my place, and that is not anyone's. What am I telling you is that there is a part of you, a deep part within you, that's been trying to get your attention for years now. And that part of you, that old wise part within, she is so tired of watching you give yourself away to men who don't even deserve your text messages. You have to listen to her. She's the only one who will actually lead you home to yourself. If you want to go deeper than this video, Escape the Matrix is the book I wrote for the woman who is ready to leave the system. How to stop giving yourself to a world that wasn't built for you. How to come home to yourself. I will put the link in my comment section so you guys can check it out.